Master Fard Muhammad. And of course, the living God among us, who is our guide, our protector, our warner, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So in this enrollment in the Master's Teachers class that is designed for the college student, we pray that you increase in your devotion and understanding of these divine teachings. And as we promised for our enrollment in Master's Teachers class, we've had a dominating class of males from the inception of our first class. And that's just not right. If Minister Farrakhan shows us the value of the woman at every other recording on the Final Call Radio, we know that the woman is very valuable. Sister Toni, Dr. Toni Muhammad is no stranger to us. If you all can think back and pull into your recesses, she was one of our presenters at our very first summit. And so we welcome her back because not only is she a MGT, she is also now the Vice President of Academic Affairs at Allen University. So we want to welcome her because we know she has a wealth of knowledge to share with you all. So please buckle up, get ready for your questions, and enjoy this session of enrollment in the Master's Teachers class. Sister Dr. Toni Muhammad, welcome. It's so good to see you. It's all yours.
Praises be to Allah. Alaikum. I'm so glad to be here with you this evening. I am truly always honored and humbled to join the believers, to share any knowledge or perspective on the knowledge that I have been blessed to come to. And I'm so grateful to the Alliance for inviting me and thinking of me to share my perspective and my experience in terms of pursuing knowledge and wisdom and understanding with you this evening. And I would be so remiss if I did not acknowledge the person who opened my eyes and gave me life. And if it were not for him and his sacrifice and his study into the mind of Allah, I couldn't sit here before you today to even begin to think about what I hope to share with you tonight. And I know you all know who I'm referring to, and that's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Happy Savior's Day. And of course, his divine inspiration and guide, the one who gave him life, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and of course, the God himself, Master Fard Muhammad, who came so far and said that if it was just one of us, he would climb a mountain 40 miles high. He would eat rattlesnakes just to teach one of us. So powerful that knowledge and wisdom that he gave to us and is still giving to us. And all of the wonderful believers who I've had the beautiful life to witness, to watch, to learn from, and that I continue to learn from every day in understanding Allah's divine creation. It is so magnificent to be able to study Allah's divine inspiration and life on this planet. It is such a wonderful journey to be able to understand all of the areas of one's own development and thinking. And it is truly a blessing when one can speak with people such as yourself. And I'm referring to those who are in pursuit of knowledge and who are young and who are embarking on this journey of higher education, so that you too can find for yourself divine purpose and be able to pull yourself into a position or put yourself into a position where realizing that divine purpose is truly the most important thing that you will embark upon during this phase of your existence. And so I want to again greet you with Assalamu alaikum. And I put together a little small slideshow for our discussion tonight. And this is a discussion, by the way. This is an opportunity for you to engage me through this process that we are taking in a class. And so while you may not fully understand or know what direction I'm going in, because typically in a class, when I enter into a class, I would have given you some idea or perspective of what to read so that you could come prepared and anticipate what I would be discussing or even have questions in advance. Hopefully tonight you will have the at least the feeling that you are fully capable of asking and of course analyzing and critically assessing what it is that I am attempting to say, and the direction and the path that I am hoping we can journey on together. So make sure that you write down any thought or question or word that comes to your mind so that at the end of our talk, you'll be able to bring that back for us to engage further. So if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I have a little small PowerPoint. So hopefully you can see my screen. And this is, of course, study techniques that we're talking about tonight for Nation of Islam college students. And this little image here, I'm just going to move that out of the way because it wasn't supposed to be there. But basically, what we're going to discuss is this notion of your inheritance and what that means. And there's so much to talk about in terms of study techniques. It's probably one of the first things that in my 29 years of being in higher education that I talk to my students about when they come to my class. Because many times when you go to college, you don't know how to study. You don't know what to do. You really don't know how to think. And this is even coming from within a lot of the experiences and preparation that many of us have. As parents, we do a good job of talking to our children about morals and values, but some of us are not necessarily in the area where we can give our kids, or excuse me, our children ideas about how to critically prepare for the college experience. And when we embark on it, a lot of times we're embarking on it from a position and maybe even a little attitude of fear. And fear can be healthy as long as it's kept in check. But this is something that is very, very important to your ability to go to college, pursue your passion and your interest, and stick to it and not quit, not give up. Not become distracted, not doubt yourself. And knowing how to study and how to prepare is not something that you can do through any other means except for understanding the mind of Allah. And and that is a very daunting process. It is a very critical process. So, you know, Mother Tanetta, may Allah be pleased with her, what is brain, when she wrote in the final call for years about the brain as the 10th system and how important it is, and the minister talked about and talks about the mind of Allah. And there's a contrasting difference between the two. And this is something that, as you begin to think about who you are and why you're here, you really have to think about this very, very clearly. Why are you here at this moment in time? This is not something that your parents can answer for you, or I can answer for you, or anyone else can answer for you. But as you go through this journey of understanding what is mind of Allah and what is brain, as it is a part of us being a part of Allah and us being the co-creator with Allah, then you can begin to come to an understanding of who you are and why you're here at this time. And so one of the questions that I always ask my students when I engage them in within the construct of a classroom is, who are you? Not what your name is, not where you're from, not what your major is, not what your hobbies are, or your interest, or all of the things that we have taken upon ourselves because we exist within a system and a construct that doesn't give real meaning to us finding our divine purpose that would connect us right up into the mind of Allah and the brain of Allah. So much so that as we begin to formulate this question or these questions and ask ourselves, who are we? We have to go into the mind of Allah. We have to understand how our brain connects us to the divine force of what makes the universe rotate and move and function, and that keeps and creates and sustains life. And this is what is going to be the ultimate basis and foundation that should drive you toward your purpose. It is not something that can come from outside of yourself. Study is not about just the book. Yes, Mother Tainetta holds the book. Master Fard Muhammad holds the book. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan holds a book. Of course, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad holds a book. We use books, we reference them, but it is not the books that defines the ability to know who and what you are and to connect you to the mind and the brain of Allah. And so this is the journey that you should be on for life, not just in pursuit of a college degree. The college degree is intended to allow you, like the book, to manifest God in person, God walking in person. Islam is a living, breathing person. That's what Islam is. It is not just a book. It is not just a few books. It is not obtaining a degree. It is a living, breathing reality and experience that allows you to connect yourself to the most powerful energy in the universe through Allah Himself. And that brain connects you to the mind. So this assignment that we have inherited, it might seem quite overwhelming to us because we may feel ill-equipped to fulfill the duty. We may not fully understand the task. But again, it goes back to uncovering who you are and why you're here at this time. you see, because you didn't have to be here at this time. And so the inherited assignment that we all have boils down to how we are able to go through this process of clarifying and re-clarifying and going through actionable steps and phases in our thought processes, utilizing the keys that we have to take us on that journey, utilizing those keys that would allow us to unlock our brain, to unlock the different dimensions and doors in our brain, to take the keys and to turn the locks inside of our brains that keeps us locked in and locked up and unable to understand our duty as it relates to what our ancestors, if you want to put it in that context, have fought and lived for. Because believe you me, there was brain and mind involved in you getting here and being here at this time. There was both, I'm going to say it again, brain and mind involved in you getting here and being here at this time. So it doesn't matter what happened that led to you being here. Allah had in his mind, and there was brain that connected with that mind in some infinite sense to bring you here for a purpose and a reason. And one of those, or should I say many of those, are connected to duty, are connected to, once you understand the duty, delving into the tasks and the assignments related to you fulfilling that duty. Thus, you say, well, I'm going to go to college because college should allow me to get to what I think is my purpose. But is it? And that's where you have to ask the question within yourself and then use your brain to, as Mother Tynetta would say, tune in so that you can receive from the mind of Allah what it is that you are here to do. And that will guide you on your duty and your task. And this academic achievement that you're striving for will become second nature for you. And ultimately, the outcome will be your liberation and your freedom that can then be represented to others. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it best: I can put a clean glass next to a dirty glass. So today, that is where we are in terms of the dispensation of time. Our people are looking and searching for someone that, or something that can reflect to them a different or new reality. And so we have an opportunity to present that to them, no matter how small it is, because Allah doesn't waste any work of the believer. I'm going to say that again. He does not waste any work of the believer. I don't know how many of you are in agriculture, but I've been in agriculture for years. And I worked with many farmers. And when I would go out with them, they always said to me, we don't waste anything on the farm. We waste nothing on the farm. Everything is used and reused on the farm. And the farmer is considered one of the most highly aligned professions to what Allah does. And Allah does not waste any work of a believer. So your work ultimately can lead to your liberation, your freedom, which by its own nature will influence others. And so It may not be that you see it in a way that you may think you need to see it, but it will manifest if you continue to tune up, as Mother Tynetta would say, and tune in order for you to receive that divine inspiration. And so these teachings, as we all know, are the true blessing that we have received, the inheritance that's been talked about in the Bible and the Quran, that we would receive as a result of our people's sojourn. And not just the 400 plus year sojourn, but the entire construct and the journey that when you go back and you study the life of Mr. Yaqub, right? And you think about what happened in that 6,600 year span of Mr. Yaqub coming on the planet and making his man, and all of the events that came after that, then you can start to say, oh, this is going back into the mind of Allah. And then even then Allah said, I know what you know not. So thinking along that construct can drive you even further into understanding where we are. So let's talk about these keys to development. The keys to the development of the spiritual mind of God. Well, we know you have to have character. We know you have to have high morals and integrity. But what does that really mean? Well, that's a part of the tuning up. That's a part of the tuning up. Lying to yourself won't get you there. I'm going to say that again. Lying to yourself. See, it's one thing to lie to other people, which you should not do. Okay? But don't even lie to yourself. You have to have the desire to be true to yourself, to thine own self be true. And tell yourself the truth and live in accordance with the truth. And be prepared to stand on the truth and die on the truth. And this is at the root of our teaching, of the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad as given to us from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that we have high spiritual character and morals and integrity. I was dealing with a situation just recently, and the person's last name is Muhammad. Would you believe it? And the person lied. They lied. And I said, wow, that's amazing. You would lie. And you would lie for something that is not considered even significant. This is where we get the beautiful study guides, rising above emotion into the thinking of God. So is there a point at which you could lie? Oh, yes. But it has to be from the mind of Allah, that you have gone through your processes and determined, not just from hindsight, but from foresight, which is why we're taught even to think 5 times before we speak. So this is a really intense, critical process that you're engaged in. When you say you're coming to college, what are you coming to college for? Except to refine yourself and to engage in a study. And just in case you're saying, well, I don't understand how this is teaching me study skills. Well, again, there's no teaching you study skills until you study yourself. And when you begin to study yourself, And you go through deductive and inductive and the process of analyzing and reviewing and conducting research and making comparisons and understanding analogy. Yes, that's study skill. But the first study skill is to identify your connection to the mind of Allah so that you are guided in that process of whatever it is that you're striving to determine about your purpose. And that in and of itself is the most challenging study skill to come upon and to hopefully eventually develop a sense of comfort with yourself to engage in. So, again, as Sister Odetta Muhammad stated earlier, we have a plethora of divine, beautiful brothers and sisters in the nation of Islam who are in every walk of life. And some of us even have them within our own family. And so any question we have, my daughter contacted me and said, Mom, I don't know how to study for this. You know, do you have any suggestions for me? And I said, yes. What you should do is you should take good notes, right? Get your paper out, get your pen out, and take good notes. And then what you should do is you should use your highlighters. You should get some, I like to call them colors. And you should highlight certain things, and you should use certain images when you take your notes. And you should always ask questions about anything that you don't understand. And then you should write things down. It's okay to use a computer. It's okay to use a pad, but you should write things down, because when you write things down, it connects to your memory. And when it connects to your memory, it becomes ingrained. It becomes a part of your thinking. It becomes a part of your DNA, because the process of writing is connected to brain and brain processes and thinking. And you should think about not just studying, and this isn't about, oh, you got to get in a room and lock yourself in there and you can't have any fun. This is about, what are you going to do to drive you to your purpose? And then as you drive yourself to your purpose, coming to this understanding that, well, I need to sit down or I need to go and do something to relieve this pressure of trying to take in and absorb so much information and processing it all. And so you need to laugh. You need to laugh a lot, because it will create within you, it will boost your adrenaline. It will give you a burst of, and I forgot what it's called, Sister Odetta, but it will give you this burst of high feeling, natural high, so to speak, where the information that you're reading, that you're studying, it will come back to you rather quickly, because immediately once you left that process, you were able to take in that information more readily, because you relaxed. And you do need to learn to relax. And you do need to learn how to do that, so that you don't have to fall off into sex and drugs and other miscreant behavior that will ultimately take you off your path, and that will lead you off your path. You do have to think about the people that you engage with, because people who cannot contribute something to what you're doing can become a drain on you. And so you have to think about all of these dynamics. in terms of who you are, and in terms of who you're striving to become, and in terms of what you need in order to move you from point A to point B. And all of these things are essential, because if you are not thinking about it, then you can find yourself in situations that you don't want to be in. And this is where I see many college students come to college and they don't have a clue about some of the things that people will do to trick them, to fool them, to trip them up, to pull them away from what it is that they say they are striving to do and to become. And that, my dear, is not what you want to do. What you want to do is think about who you are, the time that you're living in, and what it will take for you to move yourself through this time so that you can realize your purpose. So the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been deposited in many members of the Nation of Islam. And there is no reason that you should stress or struggle with how to study for any discipline. If you want to understand nursing, you have beautiful Sister Odetta. If you want to understand education, you have what's my sister? I forgot my sister's name in Atlanta.
Yeah, Sister Dawn and Sister Mecca, who
You
are
got
high
thank
schoolers.
you. You got Sister Dawn. You got Sister Mecca. You have a lot of people there who can provide you with the knowledge of whatever discipline it is that you want to engage in, and not just in Atlanta, all over the country. One of the small books that I began to embark upon, because as Sister Odetta pointed out earlier, where there are many powerful brothers in the nation who are, fully versed in the knowledge and the teachings. And there are also women who are versed in the teachings and that are powerful educators and that are powerful resources in the fields of medicine, in the fields of physics and engineering, in the fields of any area that you can think of, and that can give you this benefit of their knowledge so that you can avoid pitfalls, so that you can get ahead instead of going through the struggle and not being able to understand what you need to do next. That's not what you want to do. That's not what this process is all about. This process is about you utilizing the resources that are available to you through the multitude of believers in the Nation of Islam to allow you to move even faster than what we were able to move. And so I don't know if you recall from the presentation I did last year, where I said, walk, run, and fly. You can fly now. You can move at such a rate of speed so fast that it would almost be unheard of if you were to avail yourself of all of the beautiful co-creators that are considered resources in the Nation of Islam. So, I like this quote. This is the time when it's not enough to know. It's the time in history when it's important to know how. How? How? It's not enough to have knowledge. It's not going to cut it. I've told many students over the last few years, and sometimes I just tell perfect strangers, and I really don't care, especially when they're under the age of 25. And if they're in college, well, I'm majoring in social work. Social work is a dead major. Should major in public health. Well, why you say that? It's a dead major. There will be no social work in the future. It will be public health. Now, if you want to do data management, if you want to do information management, if you want to do research, yes. If you want to do education, yes. If you want to do engineering, all areas of engineering, yes. If you want to do psychology and sociology, you know what? Even when my children came to me, I told them, you're not going to major in psychology, sociology, history, political science. All of that is a waste of time. I got all the books you want if you want to read that. You need to major in something that is going to allow you to build a nation. And social work is a good profession for people who want to help people. Yes, it is. It is an honorable profession for people who have done good work through social work. Yes, it is. But it is a 1970s and 80s degree. It is not a 2021 degree. Political science, unless you're going to law school to pursue law, yes, you can use a law degree, but you have to be thinking about the mind of Allah. And you have to be going into these processes, studying yourself. Study yourself first. What am I really thinking about? How is this really going to allow me to do what I want to do? Computers, yes. You have no reason to fear. You have no reason to worry. You have every resource at your disposal on how to do it. And you're from the mind of Allah. So Allah has provided for you everything that you need on this journey. You have the knowledge. Some of our children come here so powerful, they already have the knowledge. They don't even know they have the knowledge because they're not thinking they have the knowledge. You're still thinking outside of yourself. You have to start thinking inside yourself. You have to begin thinking about what you already intrinsically know. And there are things that you intrinsically come here knowing. You just need to unearth them. You need to discover them. You need to realize them and prize them and value them. And then you need to engage in a process of refining them and bringing them forward so that you're able to fulfill your purpose even faster than what you could probably imagine. This isn't just the time of knowing, it's the time of manifesting. Be and it is. Be and it is. Making it a reality now. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad promised us money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life, that wasn't something that he just said because it sounded good in order to attract people to the teachings and to the mosque. No, that set yourself in heaven at once. It has a foundation in not just having knowledge, but knowing how to take the knowledge and translate it into reality. So it's more than just saying you know something. It's show us what you know. Let us see what you know. Manifest what you know. How does that translate into something that will be usable for others, valuable for others, for yourself and others? That's the direction that you want to go in. And the atmosphere, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this to us at the farm, September of 2017. We were at the farm, the laborers. And he said to us that we needed to be careful of what we say and what we think. And he said it several times before and after then. But he said, you have to be very careful of what you say and what you think. Because you have that kind of juice. You don't know it yet. You probably haven't really played with that power yet because you're thinking, oh, that's just for the minister. No, the minister said to us many, many times, greater things shall you do. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I'm like, how is that possible? Right? Like, okay. I hear you, Minister Farrakhan, but and I'm just being very real with you. I even had to ask myself, like, no, now I know the minister ain't telling no lie, but that's a tough one, right? But that's when you have to start going into the mind of Allah. And you have to start asking that question, like, why is he saying that? What does he mean by that? How is that possible? And you have to ask these things over and over and over and over until you build up such a momentum around the question, right? That it causes you to either ask another question, and then from that question, you may ask another question, and then you may just get one word to start you on even beginning to answer it. Because I'm not going to tell you what I started to come to. I'm still working that one out myself. But I want you to engage in that question, because the minister kept saying it to us. He keeps saying it to us. Greater things shall you do. Well, how is that possible? And that's where you have to go. You have to go into that knowledge that we've been given, because we haven't even scratched the surface of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We haven't even scratched the surface. We around here playing with this. You know, we sit in the mosque and, oh yeah, teach. Are we really delving into the knowledge to the extent that we need to, that we should? Like, really? And I'm gonna say it again. You can't get there from there. In other words, you can't get there from just reading a book. You got to do the self-study. And the best way to start that process is by asking the question: how, who, what, when, where, why? You gotta ask questions. If so, when? You got to ask the questions. You got to ask the questions of yourself, because when you go into the college classroom, if you're not asking the questions, when you go around people on the college campus, if you're not asking the questions, and this isn't something that you say out loud, this is something you're saying inside yourself. Why? Who? What? When? Where? Why? How so? That's what you're asking yourself. So it's not enough to just have the knowledge now. Allah has put it in the atmosphere that if you are really tuning up, you are really tuning in, you are really studying self, kind, then you will be able to connect to that mind of Allah. And that will allow you to connect with everyone and everything. Nature is one way to do that. Going outside, being in Allah's creative nature allows you to do that. I mentioned the farmers earlier. That's the way to do that. Growing food, putting things in the ground, watching it, seeing it grow, seeing it come out the ground, seeing the bugs, seeing the weeds, trying to figure out how to save that plant's life and make it grow and make it give you what you need it to give you. Balance can be achieved. And what I said earlier, Islam is living and breathing. That's you. I self am Lord and Master. That's you. You're living and breathing your faith. You're it. And that will help you project your pathway. What is study and what is studying? I hope I've answered this question for you. Desire feeds the will. This is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has blessed us with through the study guides. Desire feeds the will. Are you feeding your will? And with what desires? Are you unlocking your desires? Are you listening to yourself? Are you mapping it out and seeing it in your mind? That's your vision. Can you see? Not just physically with your eyes. Can you see? Can you see your pathway? Can you see yourself where it is that you are striving to go? Can you outline? Can you create a construct that you can go by? I tell the story that I finished my bachelor's degree when I was 20. I started my master's program at that time, right afterwards. And I finished that by the time I was 22, going on 23, hadn't hit 23 yet. I got accepted to doctoral school, but I didn't go for a year because I taught full time. And then I started doctoral school. When I came to Atlanta, I was 24. I was starting doctoral school at 24. But it was the outlining that got me there. It was the outlining. It was the, okay, what do I need to do next? Okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. And then it was sticking with that script, not allowing outside forces and distractions to come in and pull me away from the course, even if it was temporary, but getting back on track and saying, okay, let's get back to it. Analyzing what's going on around you, with you, using your logic, using your reasoning. And probably one of the ones that I think is the most powerful meditation and divine inspiration. They talk about Muhammad, peace be upon him, going to the cave. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talks about his hours of studying. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells the story of peeping through the keyhole to see what Master Fard Muhammad was doing, and he was studying. That's the meditation. That's the divine inspiration. That process of sitting, quiet, reflecting on what you're doing. Why are you doing it? And sometimes not thinking about nothing and waiting for divine inspiration. This is how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan always talks about how he can give a whole 4-hour lecture. He don't have no notes. He uses a few now, but that's just really so he can have a prop. But the minister don't need no lecture, no notes. He could just give his lecture right off the top of his head. Where is that coming from? He was sitting and he was meditating on the word. He was studying it. He was taking it through himself, through the processes of all of those things I just said to you. And then he was waiting on the divine inspiration through his brain, where he tuned in to the mind of Allah to receive. You got to be open to receive. That's why they used to put antennas on top of the TV so you could get the signal. But you don't have to do that. That's what your brain is. It's a big antenna. And you got to tune that thing up so you can receive. A lion in a cage, walking back and forth. I want you to study that, because that's the key to unlocking. Turning those keys. It's not talking about just people outside you. It's talking about you. The lion in the cage is right here. You're in the cage, right here, in your brain. You got to get the keys, unlock that joker. It's all kind of locks. That devil put so many locks on our brain. He didn't just physically lock us up. Willie Lynch, he don't even tell you. Remember, he said, these are the keys. What? Did he say keys? These are the keys to your understanding of how to keep them in bondage, that if you do it right, they will remain in bondage for the next so many thousands of years. You got to get deeper into your study of self. And those are the keys. Turning them keys on them locks. The lion in the cage, walking back and forth, miles by miles. How long will it take him to turn the rusty locks? We ain't talking about our people. We're talking about ourselves. Ain't no need in you talking about unlocking somebody else's brain when yours ain't unlocked. You got to get yours unlocked first. And then when you get yours unlocked, then you're able to do what you need to do in order to find your divine purpose and live and fulfill your divine mission. The reason why you were born at this dispensation of time and what it will take in order for you to realize your divine purpose. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing your questions.
Praise be to Allah. Let's thank Sister Dr. Toni Muhammad for her engaging subject that was so spiritual and such a guide for us as just believers. I'm listening to her and I'm realizing that I need to just tune into that antenna with all the things that I do in my life. So it wasn't just a message for college students, it's definitely a message for all of us to really think about. So thank you, Sister Toni, so much for your insight, your spiritual development, and of course, so much more that you shared with us even at the first summit about navigating through college. Remember the things that she said to us. So at this time, are there any questions that you all would like to present to Dr. Toni? Go off mute and ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Assalamu
Alaikum salam.
Okay, so my first question when you was talking, I was thinking, how does one begin to properly study yourself? Because I know you dealt with a lot of time just studying yourself and meditating, but how do you begin to do that? Like, what's the first step?
Now, this is a very interesting question, a very good question. And it can begin for everyone differently. So one of the things that, and it was the last thing that I said, that is very important to this process is meditation. Meditation, meditation, meditation. And meditation takes on many different forms. Meditation isn't about sitting in a Buddha position and saying meditation can be just listening to the minister over and over and over and over in a quiet space, right? So you hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and this is what I've done. This is what many of the believers have done over the years, believe it. We've meditated on the word. We sit, that's one form. Honey, could you plug this for me? That's one form of meditation. Just playing something over and over and over and over and over and listening to it. If you want to begin to understand a concept, then there are others as well, right, that you may want to listen to, and say Mother Tanetta or Sister Minister Ava or Brother Nuri, if you want to use that as your basis and your foundation, which I would recommend that you do. Because as I said also earlier, I have been blessed, all of us, you know, Sister Nicola, Sister Mecca, Sister Dawn, we've all been blessed to sit up under, you know, not just the big names, but even the smaller, quote unquote, they're not small, they're giants, but just people that, everybody else might not, really think if somebody is so grandiose. But listening to everyone and every opportunity that you can to just listen to something, because you can't listen to it one time. You can't listen to it one time. You have to go back through it and parse the words and study it. So that's a form of meditation. Another form of meditation is listening to meditative sounds. If you want to have a quiet, some people want peace and quiet in their meditation. You could do that. They have a lot of different meditation apps out there where they just play different sounds. You can study something briefly, a paragraph, a page, and then just sit and just think about that and ponder on it, and just go through it in essence. Or you could do the quiet where there's nothing, no interruption, no sound, no one talking. You're just by yourself and you're going through that process. So meditation, because as a child, I did a lot of meditating. Even as a little girl, I meditated. It was just a practice that as I was growing up, I found it comforting to just sit and be quiet and not, hear anybody talking to me. And then once I came into the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then I would listen to the minister over and over, and Sister Minister Ava over and over. And everybody over and over and over. And now I listen to in the course of a day, I'll listen to all kinds of meditation. I wake up in the morning to meditations. I go to bed at night sometimes to meditations, just things to help me to, relax my mind so that I can, as Mother Tynetta would say, tune up and tune in to be receptive, because I'm always wanting to hear from Allah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next question. We have only about time for 2 questions.
Question.
Anyone with a question?
I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Musa Muhammad. I'm a sophomore at Tuskegee University. Basically, I had a few questions, but I guess the one I'll ask you is kind of about meditation as well. I don't think I actually meditate, but sometimes I will just kind of sit quietly, just, I guess, out of necessity. And I was wondering, is there something I'm supposed to, I guess, gain from that? 'Cause maybe I'm just being impatient with it, or maybe I just don't do it enough. But I don't feel like I ever kind of gain anything from sitting quietly like that. Or is there something I'm doing wrong? Because
Oh, you're
I
not
don't.
doing nothing wrong, my
Yeah.
love. Look, brother, you at Tuskegee, so already you doing something right. You got yourself there. You didn't just trip and fall into the door. So you got there because of process that you use. And that meditation, no matter how small it is, no matter how much you might think, oh, I ain't really doing it right, it ain't helping me. Oh, it's helping you. It's helping you in some way, shape, or form or fashion, because what you ultimately are getting is a reflective process. That's all. And not one where you're attempting to discern something or figure something out. That's not what it's about. It's just about saying to yourself, peace, be still. Peace. Peace. No, we're not doing that. We're going to shut this down. We're going to relax, because you going to Tuskegee is divine inspiration. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You don't have to try and figure it out. Whatever you're doing in your processes, keep doing it. It's working. And be confident that it's working. And when it's time for you to expand it out to something more, then go ahead and expand it out. But whatever it is that's already pushing you and driving you to where you want to go, it's already there. Now, building on it so that you can move faster, then you have to do, as I described earlier, a reflection on different different ideas, right? Around whatever it is you're doing. If it's, I don't know what your major is. What's your major?
Mechanical engineering.
Okay. So if there are, for example, believers in the mosque that are chemical engineers or engineers that you can talk to, they can talk to you about who you need to listen to, because there are scientists out there that are on leading edge and cutting edge, and you may want to just play some of their pieces over and over and over and over and over again, so that you can even get clear about where they are, so you'll know where you want to go next. So the purpose isn't to listen to them to learn what it is that they know. What they know is dying. The purpose is to learn what it is that they know, so that you can build off, you can jump off to that next level. So you're hearing from them, because as Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, he said, study the white man, right? So you want to study what he has already laid as a foundation, but you also want to be thinking about, okay, he said that, but what about this? Remember, it goes back to those questions. So you can find different scholars. That's what you're in college for, right? When the professor gives you a book, or when they cite somebody, or if they show you a video of somebody, go and look them up, go and listen to them, go and see what they're talking about, sit there and hear what they're saying. And then if you don't understand what they're saying, look up the words they're saying, parse those words. And then when you're done parsing those words, then you jump back from that, and then you start thinking about what should be next. You know, the reasoning, the logic, the deductive, inductive, analyzing and coming to your own realization. It's not about trying to figure out what somebody else knows. It's about trying to figure out what you know, because you know something. You know it, but you haven't discovered it yet, but you're on the path. So you have to continue to allow yourself to do whatever processes that will allow you to come to that realization. But your meditation is fine. If you're at Tuskegee, if anybody on here is in college already, you're already on the path. You just need to just explore it more.
Yes, ma'am. Well, praise be to Allah, Sister Dr. Toni Muhammad. We thank you again for joining us for enrollment in the Master's Teachers class. The students are applauding. They're going to do their survey. It's going to be sent to you so that you can feel their input on what they've received. And what a beautiful conclusion to the questions that they're asking, because I really think that getting into the mind of Allah, and we've said it so many times, that's your inheritance, is that mind of Allah, God. And so no matter what you're doing, but Sonalis and I were having a conversation, and I love the questions that you presented, Brother Musai, because one of the things that I would like to share with you all, as you evolve through life, you know, we're taught to pray 5 times a day. We're taught to meditate. We're taught to study. The reality of these exercises is that it puts you in rotation with God. It puts you in a universal rotation of goodness. So you may not feel it, but know for a surety you are in rotation. You are in that evolving process that is going towards perfection. So it's not about waiting for something to occur because you submit. It's getting on that path where submission leads to success. So prayer, meditation should be a part of our every daily activity. And I get it, Brother Musai. I went through a period where, I don't know what I'm doing all these rock odds for, man. I'm not feeling a thing. And then just recently, literally, conversation with Sonalis, again, understanding that this allows us to be in oneness with God. And that should be our goal. It won't be no big epiphany. Just know for surety that that's exactly what the reward is, to be in that cycle. So all praises due to Allah. Thank you, Sister Toni, so much. Thank you, students. I pray that you all receive something of substance for you, for your personal life. And again, we will talk as soon as we allow Sister Toni to be dismissed from our meeting. Thank you, Sister Toni, again. We send you all of our love.
Thank you.
Sister
Thank
Nicola,
you, believers.
Sister
Praise
Aqua,
be to Allah.
can't see Sister Aqua. She's also part of the team, Sister Mecca and Sister
Oh, that's
John.
right. I did see. I did.
So
I
she's not on screen, but all praises due to Allah. We're all here, and we thank you so much. May Allah continue to bless you. And
Thank you.
I'll call you tomorrow.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.